Ask me about this first of all. First of all, let's give us here.
Yeah, this is a damper system that Casio and I designed together, and they built it for me. And the idea is that when you play with the touch technique, you have often a problem with open strings. And so the purpose of this is to damp the strings, but this damps them individually. So you can decide which strings you want damped and which ones are able to ring open.
歌唱と共同でデザインしたものですけれども、そうですね、開放部屋をこうするんですよね。ミュートするわけですよ。で、それで一弦一弦こう選べるわけですよね。それぞれバラバラにじゃあミュートできるってことですか。So you can mute any string you want.
Right.
Just. じゃあオクターブとかやるときなんかも良かったですね。I guess when you do like octaves, it's good.
Well, it just cleans up the sound because when I have to play with my fingers coming straight down on the strings, so any string that I'm not touching might vibrate because of sympathetic resonance, and so that can sometimes be a problem.
なんて言うんでしょうね。開放弦がこうちょっと触らなくても折れるってことあるでしょ。あれがその雑味がなくなる。今歌唱と協力やつって言ったんだけど、このギター自体はどこまでかなんですか。What type of guitar is this?
This is a Casio PG380. It's not the standard model. It's a custom model that they built for me.
初めて見た。
And on one of the songs, Still Got the Blues. No, yeah, Still Got the Blues. I played this and I used the synthesizer to create the organ sound.
俺がやるとこのギターで出してる。そうそう。素晴らしい。本当に俺が見たら音だったけどね。
Yeah, that's using the built-in synthesizer.
内蔵してるんですよね。彼自身そのコンピューター非常に詳しいそうなんですけど、その設計とかそういうのに関わったんでしょう。Did you actually contribute to the design of that, like for the built-in computer sticks? Apparently, you're quite well versed in.
Well, we talked about some of the electronic issues, and I had some ideas for things that I thought might improve the tracking. But mostly what we talked about was guitar features. And because I've used the touch technique for so long, I'm really familiar with how the different aspects of the guitar affect the technique, and so I had a lot of ideas about things that I wanted them to change. I had them change the scale length and the kind of pickups and a lot of things like that. That means that the length from the nut to the bridge.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the vibrating length of the string.
ずっと長年自分の独自のそういうものをやってるので、どういうデザインをすれば弾きやすくなるか、そういうのことをだいぶアドバイスした。なるほどね。じゃあそういうプログラミング自体にはタッチしてないと。So you're not involved with programming?
No, not on this guitar, but we talked about a lot of things along those lines, but at the time they wanted to concentrate on this instrument and to see how much they could do with the existing instrument. So we concentrated on, changing the guitar, but keeping the same electronics, but just changing the guitar. And one thing that I found is that generally guitars that work well for the touch technique also tend to track better. Like things that improve the guitar sound also tend to improve the tracking.
When you say tracking,
it means how quickly it responds, how quickly and accurately it responds to what you play, because the synthesizer has to track what you play on the guitar.
ギターそのものをね、改善しようということで、そこからどういうふうに改善すれば弾きやすくなるか、そのアドバイスしたんだけども、プログラミングの話をやりましたと。それジャックの分かりました。いや昔ローランドのね、ローランドギターして先生言うし、昔使ったんだけど、あんまりちょっと遅れるっていうのが音がその時使わなかったんだけど、じゃあそれは解決されたと。So you said like, when you're talking about improved tracking, you usually have the old one. You had an issue, you had some trouble with it.
I had the old model, not the new one. Yeah.
But there was like too much of a delay.
Yeah. And also I'd get a lot of extra notes. he'd play something and then he would play some other notes that you didn't play. Part of that came from the sympathetic resonance of the open strings, and I found that I could by selecting the patch on a synthesizer, by adjusting it, I could get rid of some of that. Because what I would do is I put it in a mode where each string would be on a different MIDI channel. Except, see, I don't remember if I could do that on the Roland. I remember in between the Roland and the Casio, I also had an Ibanez MIDI guitar. And I remember I was doing this on the Ibanez. I'd put each string on a different MIDI channel. And then I'd run it into either a Kurzweil or a TX-816, something where I'd have a different sound for each string where I could control the range of the sound. So I would just limit the range so that you could never get the open string. So the problem was I couldn't get the open strings, but the advantage was that I didn't have that problem so much. But even then, I found that the Casio tracks better than the Ibanez did then. I know that Roland has a new one out, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know how well it tracks.
そうですか。しかし前のローランドは確かに面白かったんだけど、今こう新しくなってね、まだ弾いてないからよくわかりませんけども、カシオとローランドの間に今のを使ってみたんだけども、まあ要はね、一行一行こう想像のその右チャンネルを別々にすることによって会話の原因がないのをね、防ぐことができたと。
まあ今までいろんなギター使ってきたんだけども、それじゃあこの今のカシオでしたっけ？それでも完璧にこれからやっていくと。
So is this the axe of choice now, or is this the one going to stick with the Casio?
Well, I have 3 guitars with me on the road right now, and this is one of them. And I also have a VJ made in France, and I also have a Travis Bean. And each guitar is special in its own way. This one has the most range of sounds. And it also has a very special sound because of the way we set up the pickups and various things. And also, the VJ has the biggest tonal range. It's just as far as an electric guitar. It's my favorite sounding electric guitar. And the Travis Bean is the one that I have the most agility and fluency with.
トランスビーンってデビューした時に使ってたギター。
Is the Travis Bean one you used when you first debuted?
Yeah, that's right.
そのフランスのギターはあまりよく知らないんだけど、もしできたら説明してもらえる。
Like a little more detail on the VJ there.
Yeah, it's made by a French luthier, Patrice Vigier, and
How do you spell that?
Vigier. Yeah, it's French Vigier. Yeah, and let's see, what can I say? It's got a vibrato arm, and it's got a very excellent string locking system. And the pickups were made in France by a guy named Benedetti, and the pickups are really incredible. They have just this really broad range. It sounds, out of all the electric guitars I've played, it sounds most like an acoustic, even just with the pickups, without microphones. It has graphite neck with phenolic fingerboard. Phenolic, it's like bowling ball material, and the neck is very stable, and it doesn't have the problem that I have with the Travis Bean. Also, this Casio also has a graphite neck, and so they don't have the problem that I have with the Travis Bean. 2 weeks ago we were doing a show in Scotland, and there was such a great difference in the temperature when the lights came on and the audience came in, that 15 minutes before the show, my stage manager tuned my guitar, and when I got on stage, it was a half step out of tune, just because of the metal, But these necks don't have that problem.
The metal on the neck?
Right, because it's aluminum, and so as it got warmer, the metal expanded and made the guitar a half step sharp. Yeah.
そうですね。撮ってみたいですよね。でね、普通に弾くギタリストもそうなんだけど、彼の場合は特にそのネックとかね、そのフレットの感じでその大事じゃないかと思うんだけど、その辺。
I guess the texture of the neck is a lot more important here than the normal picking guitar neck.
It is really important to me because, for one thing, it's really important to. I need to have a flat fretboard, and the reason is that I bring my action down extremely low, and so when your action is low, and then you try to bend the string, then if there's a curve to the fingerboard, then it scrapes the frets. So I need it flat, and I need it very, very accurate, and I need to make sure that it will stay accurate. Because one thing that I found is that the action really affects the technique a lot, and in fact, differences that are so small that you can't even see will affect how it feels when you play the guitar.
The action?
Yeah, right. Like it might change for whatever reason. Maybe you change your strings, and the action is different, and it might look the same. And then, but after you play for a while, you wonder why can't I play all the same stuff? Yeah.
Accent ですかね。ビッグビジネス。あれはね、上なくてもね、微妙な違いもね、弾けなくなるっていうことがあるんですよね。だからそのネックがとにかく正確さが非常に必要だと。その都度その都度同じことを弾けるように、もう全く平べったいネックがいけなかった。
で、彼は最近そのバッピングだけじゃなくて、普通にこう、ピッキングにもやっていらっしゃるんだけども、それに関しての支障っていうか、まずいことはないでしょうか。
Usually showed you doing picking these things, not just tapping the fretboard. Does that cause any problems or any features of the guitar that you haven't seen change with this?
Well, yeah, because I use such low action, picking gives a really sort of slappy sound, and I don't usually like that sound. One good thing about it is that it gives a greater contrast between the tapping and the picking sound, but I don't usually like that sound. So when I pick, I usually have my action higher, and so I have to really, to optimize, I usually have to have a separate guitar for tapping and picking. Yeah. So on one of my records on Flying Home, I found that for a lot of the music I had to use a pick because I got a greater expressive range with the pick. I find that the touch technique is better for playing a lot of different parts at the same time, but picking is better for getting more expressive range out of one part.
アクションが低いとね、ピッキングは綺麗にできないんですよ。怒りを強く叩いたっていう汚い音しか出ないから、でそのギター、アクションの高いギターを使うようにしてるんですけども、それでその後の方ですけども、ピッキングの特徴というか、その良さはね、タップの場合はいろんなパートを同時に送られるとか、強みなんだけども、ピッキングの場合はね、同じパートでその表現力がただ広いと。
彼のスタイルはね、根本的にそのソロで言ってもすごいその聞き応えがあるものだと思うんだけど、結局そのピッキングで踊るっていう場合にはどっちかというとそういうバンドサウンドを意識してるってことピッキングですか？ピッキングで行くときはバンドでね、やるってことを意識してるわけ。
When you like picking as opposed to tapping, are you thinking about playing the band? You're not thinking about like performing the solo?
Performing solo with the pick?
Yeah, when you play the pick, is that for like, do you know like folk solo or you?
With the pick? Well, I used to, a lot. But I couldn't play all the things I imagined in my mind, and so that's why I developed the touch technique in the first place. So now, usually, if I'm playing solo, I usually don't I don't know. It's hard to answer that because music is such a creative thing. Like as soon as I think I know what I do or what I don't do, then I turn around and question it, and I think, well, maybe I'm limiting myself, and maybe it's just that it's something I haven't done in a long time, but it's a nice idea. Maybe I should get back to it.
これで質問を答えてるかどうかわかりませんけども、 昔はピッキングやったんだけども、その限界があるからタッピングをやり始めたんだけども、いろんなテクニックをやってみるんだけども、これじゃ限界があるなと思ってみると、そのテクニックを問い直して、じゃあ何か新しいことやろうと、ずっとそういうことを繰り返していくわけですよ。多分それで答えてないと思うんですけど、ちょっと別の感じから質問した方がいいんじゃないですか。そうですね。いいです、それは。それでチューニングはね、多分違うと思うんだけど、その辺について説明できる。ピッキングも違う。っていうか、タッピングの時のギターのチューニングを。インパクト。How about the question about tuning in general? How do you change your tunings around and stuff?
Well, I used to experiment a lot with tunings. I haven't done that very much lately, but I have, well, let's see, since about a year before I started using the touch technique, I started tuning my guitar in fourths. In any two strings that are adjacent are a perfect fourth apart. And the way I do it is that the two highest pitched strings, I tune them up a half step. So it goes E, A, D, G, C, F.
E, A, D, G.
Those are normal. And then the two higher ones are C and F. Those are the distant ones. Yeah. So it's all fourths all the way across. So you know how in normal tuning it's mostly fourths and 1/3. Well, having it all fourths makes it simpler. And so the advantage is that it's easier mentally to learn the whole fretboard. It simplifies the fretboard.
どうですか、ビートにだけを上げることによって、その距離がみんな同じですよね。そうすればシンプルになると。そういうこと。
And the simplification is very significant. To give you an example, if you have a chord, let's say that's 4 strings wide, then there's going to be 3 sets of 4 strings, and you can play that chord on. Okay, now in the standard tuning, you have to learn a different fingering for each one. You know it's the same notes, but it's the 3 different fingerings. But in the fourth tuning, you only have to learn 1. So that's 3 to 1. That's really significant. And if it's 5 strings wide, it's 2 to 1. It's still very significant.
感想感がいかに素晴らしいことかっていうのは詳しく説明してくれたんですけども、コードの押さえ方が同じになっちゃうんですよね。一本押さえしても、4行押さえとか、じゃあ結局どの曲も全部そのチューニングでやる。So you maintain the same tune when you play?
Yeah, I have all my guitars tuned that way.
タッピングの時はけど普通のコードでこうやると結構難しいんじゃないですか。
It's okay when you tap and stuff and you play with both hands, but when you play like regular chords, it kind of gets in the way of it.
Well, what happens is you still have the same number of possibilities, but the possibilities don't lie as much within the range of normal chords. You know, and so it tends to be sort of more modern chords that it opens up. And there's still a lot of possibilities, but if I wanted to play just a regular D7 or something, then I would just go back to standard tuning. And because it's only 2 strings a half step away, it's very easy to go from one tuning to the other. Yeah.
それは皆さんのその同じようなコードがね、弾く場合非常に難しいんだけど、その場合はもういいや弦と B の弦を普通に戻せばいいから。なるほど。だけどその他にそのいろんな可能性がありますと。
そっちの方がいいってことですね。今回その普通のジャズからね、フュージョンポールとかロックポールとかいろんなタイプの曲が演奏されてるんだけど、それぞれに関してそのタッピングのタッチとかね、そういうのって微妙にやっぱり変えたりするんですよ。
He notices there's quite a bit of variation in style. You play like a regular standard jazz tune, and you play like something a little more fusion, like something with a little more of a rock flavor. Does your tapping technique change from style to style, or do you basically play the same thing?
Yeah, I'm very conscious of approaching each song individually, and that's one of the reasons why, as I was explaining on flying home, I found that I had to use a pick a lot, even though I was known as, a tapping guy. But I found that to play that music, it just worked out better with the pick. So one of the things that I'm really conscious of doing is trying to find the right technique for the musical application, and also the right vocabulary. Like when I'm improvising, I guess I have my habits. Everyone has their habits, but still, I like to use different vocabularies or improvise in different styles depending on the situation. It's sort of like it's like speaking, being able to speak more than one language, but you're still improvising, but you're still speaking in different languages.
当然テクニックは微妙に変わるわけですけれども、言葉に例えればボキャブラリーの想像の極度が変わってしまうわけですよね。で、あくまでもね、その曲に合ったテクニック、その曲に合ったボキャブラリーを選ぶようにしてると、それを非常に気にしてるわけですよ。
このブルーはプレイっていうのはほとんどのアドリブでやるんですか、それとも頭で考えてくるんですか。アドリブで弾くか、頭でちゃんと考えて組み立ててから弾くか。そうなんですよ。演奏っていうのはプレイね、いつも。
Usually, when you play, I guess, when you performance, are you mainly ad-libbing or most of the stuff?
Yeah, it's mostly ad-lib. But then again, it depends on the song. Like, for example, I wrote a song called All the Children. And All the Children has pretty much a fixed left-hand accompaniment part. And I might do variations, I might improvise variations on it, but there is a definite part that's written out. But something like, say something like Eleanor Rigby, I might play it very similarly, but there's a lot more variation in that one.
曲によっては変わってくるわけですけど、エレオリビューのほどすぐでアドリブですけれども、オリザ・チルドっていう曲では左手は大体そのパートは決まってるわけですよ。微妙に変わるということもあり得るんですけれども、右の方がどっちかというとアドリブと。曲によってはバランスが変わってくるわけです。
ほとんどそのキーボード風なね、音がして素晴らしいんだけども、それにキーボードプレイヤーとか参加したりとかするでしょ。
Do you ever like take note of how keyboard players support themselves, like with their left hand? Does that ever influence you on that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I've learned a lot from keyboard players, and that was really the original inspiration for developing the two-hand technique. And but I wouldn't want to oversimplify it and say that it's just playing a guitar like a keyboard, because it's not exactly that either. Because you still have all the guitar techniques, like you can do slides and bends and vibratos and stuff.
もともとキーボード奏者の人がこのテクニックを発見したっていうか発明したと。ただしそのあくまでのギターのテクニックは中心だからね、ピアノみたいな音だと言い切れないと。その方が今日は注意してほしいと。
さっきのギターの話にちょっと関係するんだけど、アンプとかね、エフェクターとか使ってる機材があったら教えてほしいんです。
I'd like to know what kind of modifiers or boxes you use now, some of the amps. Use your equipment.
Well, let's see. This year, I've been using Mesa Boogies as my amps, and I've got. I always bring a rack of processing gear. And it's been changing every time I go out. It's been changing. Right now, what it is that I have two PCM 70s and a couple of sound modules controlled by the Casio guitar. There's an M1 and a Casio VZ8M, and I have a lot of EQ in the rack. So all my guitars have graphic EQ, and that's basically it, then just some preamps. So, and also I use a lot of volume pedals, especially when I'm playing two guitars at the same time. Because often what I'll do is I'll have a volume pedal for each guitar. Yeah, I have a left-hand guitar. Usually what I do is I'll stand up and I'll hold one with the strap. I'll play that with my left hand, and then I'll have another one up on the stand and I'll play that with my right hand. So, yeah, you guys should come to the show. We're playing at the Blue Note.
多分とね、2台を同時に弾いてるっていうんですよね。一つこう横に置いて、もう一つ抱えて、同時に弾いてるんだけど、そのさっき進めんだけど、そのラップがいつも変わってるわけですよね。 まあ、いろいろな機材をこう、上げてくれたんですけども、プリアンプだとか、サウンドモジュールとか、ちょっと、あと、フィスケルとか、わかりませんけども、
じゃあプリアンプを通してアンプに入れてる。
そういう、
回してると。
So you went through preamp for you.
Well, some guitars, yeah. Let's see, the Casio is going through a preamp, but the VJ doesn't need a preamp. The Travis Beam has a preamp, but I need to replace it. It's not that great, and so I don't usually like to run it too hot because it starts to distort. So I usually turn the volume down a little bit and use a preamp in the rack.
ギターによってはプリアンプを使ったり使わなかったり。でもトラビスの場合は、音が歪んでしまうから、プリアンプをソースと買おうと。今とりあえずボリュームを下げてると。VJ の場合は使ってないと。
VJ ってのはこのギターですね。Is this the VJ?
Yeah.
初めて見た。日本じゃまだないですね。
ないですね。初めて聞いた。Well, sure, it's like I said,
Yeah, it's kind of an exclusive instrument because it's really expensive, and it's really not that well known because it's a small company. It's like one guy and maybe less than 10 employees. So, but I recommend checking it out. It's a very nice guitar. Very nice. Well, this one I didn't have to pay for it, but I don't know. You know, normally for sale in dollars are at least 2,000, between 2,000 and 3,000. One of the things that I've noticed about this is it's the most accurate guitar I've ever played. And what I mean by that is that what you have to do to get a sound is very accurate. It's very precise. In other words, like that with dynamics, for example, you know how the harder you play, the louder it is. Well, there's a certain curve, and every guitar has a curve. And this guitar is so even that I always know exactly how hard to play to get exactly the dynamics that I want. And so what it's enabled me to do is it's brought my technique to a greater level of sensitivity because the guitar is capable of going there. Yeah.
これで正確なギターは弾いたことないと。っていうのはね、その力の入れ方、これがだいぶ変わってきたっていうかね、微妙にその力の入れ方が変わることによって音が変わると。でそうすることによって今度その自分のテクニックを上達する。ものすごく上達すると。
So I can play a whole passage at a really, really high dynamic level, and then I can bring it down real quiet. And one of the difficulties of playing any instrument, you're singing or playing any instrument, is controlling dynamics at a low level and still having control. And I think that it's probably more difficult with tapping than with picking. I'm not sure, but it is very difficult. But and especially with low action. Because with low action, the slightest little hit, you get a lot of sound. And so if you want a really quiet sound, you have to tap it so lightly. And so what I found is that the guitar, even at that level, is very accurate.
ギターの正確さを試すには、なんつってもその最大の試練が静かに弾くとき、ちょっと強くタッピングするとでかい音が出たりするから、その辺のダイナミクスのコントロールの仕方がものすごく難しい。そういう意味ではこのギターは完璧にコントロールできるから、すごいと。静かに弾いてるのにちゃんと静かな仕方ないと。
さっきからそのタッピングだとフレットがね、そのフレットっていうかフィンガーボードがどうだろうって言ってたけど、それ普通の仕様の普通にこうラウンドしたね、イヤーの仕様のモデルっていうのがあるんですか、そのギター。
Is there like a standard model that is not like flattened for you or use?
You're talking about the VJ?
The whole standard issue?
Yeah, this is a standard arpege is the model. ARPEGE.
So it's their standard?
Yeah.
Do they even flatten the neck for it?
I think they make them either way. There was something that they did for me that was different. I don't remember what it was. But it's really, it's pretty much a standard arpege. Yeah.
それを詳しく知らないけども、スタンダードなんじゃないかと思うんですが、パーシスのVJ っていうそのギターの作った人がだいぶネックをいろいろとこういじったみたいで、足が低くできるようになんかこうテープを当てるみたいですけど、スタンダードですけど、仕様がね、でかくないんだ。
ネックだけ回してくれたって感じなのね。
パーシスのスタンダードが真っ平らかどうかは考えて。
なるほどね。で彼のスタイルっていうのはなかなかその普通の、ね、ギタリストにこう進みにくいっていうか教えにくいんだけど、もしその彼が盗むとしたらね、どういうところを盗んだらいいでしょう。
It's kind of hard to, tell people like to copy your style, cap your voice because it's so complex. But what would you tell younger guitar players to get from you? What should they knock off from your style?
Well, I think people listen to me. There's certainly some technical things that they might learn, and some harmonic things that they might learn. I think I hear a little differently from the average guitarist, and so just because I have different ideas in my head, that I sort of play, in a unique style harmonically. And also, I've been studying harmony for a long time, so I have a pretty large vocabulary of scales and chord voicings and that kind of thing. And so I think there's some ideas they might get from that. And hopefully, the most important thing that they would get from me is the same thing that I got from Jimi Hendrix, and that is to realize that the guitar is such an incredible instrument, and it's got so many possibilities, and that everybody can find their own way to play it, and you don't have to follow somebody else's idea of how you should play. I mean Jimmy, reinvented the instrument already, and I think that one of the things that I really got from him was just realizing that it's okay to find your own way and find your own style of playing.
いくつは挙げようと思うんですが、まずもちろんテクニックを見習うべきところはあると思うんですが、もう一つはね、ハーモニーをだいぶ勉強してましてね、そのハーモニーが何かというと、どういうメロディーにどういうハーモニーが合うとか、どういうメロディーにどういうコードが合うとか、そういうのがだいぶ勉強してるし、あと自分のその独自の解釈は表現してるから、その辺をよく聞いてくれた。最後に自分が言うから最大偉いことは何かというと、ギターのその限りなき可能性、つまり自分のスタイルをとにかく作れた自分の個性っていうのをね、築き上げたのがいいだろうということを学んだと自分から。
レスポーランドと一緒にやったりしてんだけど、共演したギタリストとかいたら教えてほしいですけど。共演したいのがいるとすれば、
共演したい、もしいれば誰か。He said he saw you play with his Les Brown. He was wondering is there anybody you'd like to play with or duet with?
Oh, a lot of people. George Benson is one, definitely. There's a lot of people I wish I could have played with. I wish I could have played with John Coltrane. Actually, a lot of my linear concepts, I learned from him. And one person I did have the great fortune of playing with once was Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I'll always treasure that memory. We jammed all night, and it was really, really fun. And I hope somebody had a little cassette or something just for the memory,
What did you get from him?
Well, mostly we just played together, we showed each other a little bit of stuff, but not, basically we just played. He showed me this one thing that he did. He tuned his guitar down a minor third from the normal tuning. And he said, now listen to this. And he started doing some ridiculous bends, like boom, 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 blip, 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 boom, just because you can bend so far, tuning it down. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
なるほどね。ブルースプレイヤーだからね、彼も。
Real inspirational person, just a really wonderful spirit, very spiritual human being.
どうですか、それ。
いろいろしたいと。で、今回の日本のね、そのライブで、またその、録音されるようなんですけど、その辺をやっぱりライブとか、どんどん出したい。
You're going to be recording in Tokyo. It's going to be a live performance?
Yeah.
And are you going to be recording live about the future? It seems like you do.
Yeah, I like to record live. I like the spontaneity and having the audience there, and it's a different kind of sense of recording in a studio, because when I'm recording in the studio, I feel more like I'm making a sculpture. It's like crafting a sculpture, you know, and you can go back and you can work on it again and again and perfect it. But the feeling of a live concert is very difficult to match in a studio, and I think people hear that, even though it's better to go to the concert than to hear a live recording of a concert, but still a lot of that feeling does come through on the record. So we're hoping that we can capture that this week at the Blue Note.
今週はブルーノートのライブは一応レコードする予定なんだけども、どんどんそういうライブを撮っていきたいと。っていうのはね、スタジオでやるとまるで彫刻を作るようで、何度も改善して作っていくんだけども、そういう要素あるんだけども、ライブだからはね、真似できないような雰囲気がありまして、もちろんそれは自分でね、自らライブに行った方がいいだろうけども、しかしレコードで聴いても、その雰囲気がちゃんと伝わるから、そういう真似できない要素がライブにあると。
まあこの LP なんですけど、内容はもちろん素晴らしいんだけどね、演奏自体は。その音もいいっていうんでね、結構専門誌、オーディオ誌なんかでだいぶ褒められたんですけど、その辺の音に関してどうでしょう。
He was very impressed by the actual performance on this laserdisc. He said a lot of the experts in the audio equipment have praised the sound quality. It's quite crystal clear. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Well, the engineer is famous. David Baker has done a number of recordings. He was the recording engineer. In fact, I don't see his name credited here. Oh yeah, David Baker. Yeah. And it's one of the things that I think was a really good choice, that I think we got to credit either the producer or director, was the choice of location, Manhattan Center Studios. This place is right in the middle of Manhattan, and I had never heard of it before, but it's a sound stage with a space for an audience. It's really like a concert hall. But it also has a built-in studio, and so it's like a combination of live and studio. It was a live concert, but it was also at a studio. So because they already had it set up for the studio, and they'd already done a lot of recordings there, so they were already very familiar with recording in that room.
2つの原因がありまして、1つはデイビッド・ベイカーっていうエンジニアの名人がいるんですけど、それからその場所がともども良かったっていうか、マンハッタンセンターっていうね、スタジオなんだけど、観客席もちゃんとあって、ライブの予算まではスタジオの予算があると。
Another thing that I should point out is that my new record, Cornucopia, has some music in common with this. 4 of the songs in this concert are on the new record, and it's the same performances. And we got a chance to go back and remix the material for the CD, and so I think, yeah, that's it. So I think that the mixes that we got for the CD, are even better quality, I feel, than the mixes on the Laserdisc. And the other thing is that there's a lot of music on here that's not on the Laserdisc. So this is something I would recommend checking out. So they have some area in common, but also each one has its own unique material.
曲は4曲ほどダブってるんだけど、こっち LB 内で作ってからね、もう一回スタジオ行ってリミックスして、それを今度シングに入れたと。
And also, there's some musical things that I did on Cornucopia that are kinds of things that I've never done before in recording. For example, there's a song Asteroids, which is a computer music piece. It's all electronics. Let's see which cover this is.
Which cover, you mean you have different versions?
Well, see, we had to correct some mistakes. Yeah, okay, this is the original cover. There's a mistake on this cover, because it says that there's guitar overdubs on Asteroids, but actually there's no guitar at all on Asteroids. It's all synthesizers.
初めてここを見たのはこのアステロイドで、もうエレクトロニクスのみと。これはね、間違いギターが入ってるっていう。オーバーダブとか書いてあるけど、そうじゃないと。オーバーダブはないと。それが間違いなんだ。そうです。
Yeah, and also the title track Cornucopia is a free improvisation piece, and I've never recorded anything like that before. It's about 20 minutes long, and that's another kind of thing that I've been doing for years, but this is the first time that I've done that on an album.
もう何年もやってるんだけど、フリーインプロビゼーションは初めてレコードで心見たのはこのコニコピアっていうタイトルなんだ。
まあ彼のスタイルはその映像付きでね、初めてその分かるっていうか、余計に人が感動しちゃうってところあるんだけど、またそういう映像作品がどんどん作られていくんでしょうか。
Are you gonna put out anything else along with the visual, this type of visual thing, like a laser disc? Because a lot of people, got off on this, being able to actually see what you just hear on record. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something I'm planning to do again. And incidentally, one of the songs in Cornucopia that's not on Laserdisc, a studio track that we did, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. We made a music video of that. It's not a concert video, but it's like a concept video. And I don't think that it's been shown yet in Japan, but I hope that it's going to be here soon. And one of the things that's special about the video is we use this new application of computer technology called virtual reality. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's something that's very new, and it's going to be a very significant development in computers and in communications and in the arts. It's going to affect art really significantly. So anyway, we used virtual reality to make parts of the video, and basically what we did is, in order to really experience the virtual reality, you have to wear some very special computerized clothing, and so there's only like a few of these in the world. So people won't have a chance to really see the reality that I saw when we were making the video. But what you can see is a projection of the reality into a two-dimensional screen. And so what it means, that to sum it up, we used virtual reality as an animation technique. And the significant thing there is that it was actually real-time animation. Instead of like planning out the shots, blocking the shots and all that, all the animation was done in real time. Which, as far as I know, I don't know of any system that would allow you to do that.
Well, I'll tell you a lot, so
well, it's kind of hard to, it's a whole topic in itself. It's kind of hard to explain it quickly. But basically, the way that it works is that in the computer, you're able to build models of objects in this simulated reality. And you can also build models of their behavior and their relationships and their interactions. So the way you go into the reality is that you put on this clothing, and it includes gloves that go on your hands, and also these iPhones where you can see stereoscopic images projected by computer. And also you wear headphones, so you get three-dimensional sound and three-dimensional images. And also you can interact in the world using the glove. So for example, if the computer shows you an object in front of you, you can reach out with your hand and you can see a picture of your hand and you can grab it, and the computer senses every single finger. And so because it's sensing the finger, it's able to, like, let's say you want to grab the object and turn it, say you want to turn it around like this, and the computer will show you what the image will look like if you were to turn it around. And they're even developing tactile feedback, so you could actually feel the object. And so the incredible thing is that they've synthesized enough senses so that you really do believe that you're in that reality. I mean, it's not, you know that doing something with the computer, but still, it's very convincing. Like if you turn your head, it's also sensitive to your head movement. So if you turn your head, you're going to see that scene. You turn your head here, the computer is going to show you that scene. So this is the first music video that's used virtual reality, and it's going to be a very, very significant technology. For example, for architecture, you can use it for architecture by building a model of a building and actually going into the building, and you can, just by pointing your fingers, you can fly around inside the building and look and inspect different things, and you want to see, well, what will it look like, sitting at this table, what do I want to see from my window? And let's say you'd like to see a little bit more of the top of that building. Then you can take this window, and if you want the window to be bigger, you just grab the window and you stretch it out, and you say, that's better, So for architectural design, for entertainment, right now when we go to see a film, the film is created, and then you just go and you see it. Well, in virtual reality, you can actually be a part of the film, and so the story might be different depending on what you do inside the reality. So there's really just a lot of possibilities.
じゃあ最後ちょっと重複したんだけども、重ねちゃうんだけど、最後に一言アドバイスをアマチュアに言ったり。
This is the last thing we have time for, but it's kind of overlap with what we were asking a second ago about what guitars can get from you. But what other advice would you have for people, young aspiring guitar player?
I would recommend learning as much as possible about music, because all knowledge can increase your choices, and that can only be good. Some people are afraid that if they know too much, then it might hurt their natural instinct for music, and I think that can happen if it's taught the wrong way. If people tell you a lot of rules, but anytime somebody tells you rules, then that's just a description of a style of music, and so just take it from that point of view. And really, the best kind of learning is just to get more and more knowledge about music, and that's really the best thing that I can say. And from things like reading interviews and reading not just guitar information, but any kind of information, theory books, read about all instruments, read about drums, because drummers know a lot about rhythm, which can be applied to guitar, for example. So learn from all instruments and from different styles of music, classical theory as well as jazz theory.
Okay, so
Okay, thank you.